sponsor for Good morning, members, and to the viewing public. The chair will now call today's budget hearing to order with the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, and with 10 members present from the Standing Committee of Ways and Means. We have duly established a quorum. Therefore, we move to item 2, adoption of agenda, and do I hear a motion? There is a motion to adopt today's agenda, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Moving along on our order of business, we are now on item 3, public comments. And at this time, if there's any members of the public that wishes to make public comments, you are welcome. The podium is open. Please proceed. Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Buenos días, Chairman, Vice Chairman, honorable na membro neste komitea. Buenos días, manamko, dan intermenti Toto Madanas. Inaano si Juan Iguer Tenorio. Unuzogi manamko, gwinigi noti Madanas. Kalom 2 meses na tempo, para 66 años zo. Tumotogi zo gwini, en cuenta de este todo di manamko ni mangagi gwini. Jan todo, y mansinesedbi na publiko, neste na oficina y Community and Cultural Affairs. Mr. Chairman, antisa di bay sigi mona, bay famaisin kosinya manaizo tempo za bay taytay on testimonio sa itumugis na testimonio guaha zonya kumimen gi kotina ani za faisin zo kosinya dangin manaizo perbileo si zos mase.
Por favor, consigue.
Si zos mase. Testimony in support of Office of Aging, Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, July 17, 2025. Good morning, Chairman and members of this esteemed body. My name is Alice S. Igito, and I am here to express my strong support for increased funding for the Office of Aging and for our vulnerable population, our Manamkus. I have had the privilege of working closely with many of you in a professional capacity. I acknowledge the difficulties involved in distributing limited resources throughout the semi-government. During these challenging periods, it is essential to prioritize for our Manamku as top priority. As reflected in a House Commemorative Resolution 23-4, adopted by this body, our Manamkos are recognized as community leaders and role models, providing guidance to younger generation through their experience and wisdom. They possess a profound comprehension of traditional healing practices, navigation, and other vital elements of our indigenous culture. They embody the link to our history and safeguard the continuity of our culture for generations to come. Aging is regarded in our culture tradition as a period characterized by wisdom and respect, during which elders are valued and supported by their families. As our Manamkos navigate the complexities of aging, it is essential to access the appropriate resources to enhance their quality of life. The Office of Aging offers vital assistance aimed at alleviating the nutritional and health care challenges encountered by our Manamco throughout our communities. Funding is essential to enhance the nutritional support for our Manamco, particularly those who are homebound and rely on receiving prepared meals that would nourish their aging bodies. Many lives on fixed income and struggle with current inflations and the higher cost of living. Additionally, funding is necessary to acquire a vehicle essential for the delivery of these homebound meals. I kindly request this esteemed body to allocate $200,000 for food items and an additional $50,000 for the procurement of vehicle for the aging office. The allocation of these funds will significantly benefit our Manamco. To enhance the services we offer to our Manamco and to ensure their health and welfare is prioritized, it is critical that sufficient funding is given to this important office. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I am grateful for the chance to provide my testimony in support of the Office of Aging's need for additional funding. I am grateful for your attention to this matter and eagerly anticipate the financial assistance you will offer in order to address this pressing funding requirement for fiscal year 2026. Thank you very much, Jesus Masi Alice Santos Igito.
Sarge, please receive the oral written.
Persinya, Mr. Chairman, may continua giningwawa.
Consige, por favor.
Si Jesus Masi, tisinya ta fanmandagi, nistinila la. Todo nila gwini, todamzo. Sempre fandagi gwini, un tempo fera di pago. Gwini gi kuturata gi zanotti Marianas. I mas takfena gi todo du hafa patatsogi. I rispetto jan i parata atendi. I manomko. Hita ni man hobin, e todo go hobin aza. Sinya man petsawit, sinya man malagwit, sinya man magufit, di mano malagota, di pareho dyan isti manomko. I manomko, madi pependi siya, di sa Hamzo. Hamza isti muna sinya. Maski siya i manomko man malago. Benatungam jo, ti mana sinya. Ti man sinyas ta. Madipependi siya, gizaham jo. Pues por favor, con respeto, o gagagaw i mas sincero na sinenti, i mas sincero na gwinayza, gini ni fondon corazon mizo ni man magas notti Marianas jen considera ihinemlo dan nilala estisay man omko. Man omko, ti man pareho dan hita ni man hobin. Hita ni man hobin masafa sa planta papagilamasa tahakot sa tapolalom kalong pasota. Este manomko titay no esta. Estaba, pago, titay no. Nisita umaatendi. Hinemlo niya, ginin inengka no niya sa hafa makakano. Sige, para unina fan homlo. Sige, para inadahi ihinemlo tataw-taw niya. Kosa kisinya, ufan magof, tamang na hita ni manhobin, an man mamagofit. Ginin talo, sincero na corazon mizo o gagago. Por favor, considera seman omko. Datano ini todo y necesita na servicio, cosa que señalo que o maaprovecha y tetenan na tempunia guinigitano. Si Dios masi dan buenos días.
Si Jesus Masi. Senor Juan Igo Tenorio. Podium is still open for any members of the public who are here that wishes to make oral testimony. Please proceed. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning, buenos dias, Chairman Sablan, Vice Chair Atao, and members of the Ways and Means Committee. I am Dr. Chelsea Cabrera, and I'm here today as an advocate for elder care reform in the CNMI. I'm here because I deeply care about our manamkus and the family members who take care of them. Our community is evolving. Our elders are living longer, family structures are shifting, and we have an incredible opportunity in this budget hearing to respond with care and compassion. As a volunteer at the Manamku Center, I spend time engaging with our Manamkus, and I witnessed firsthand how meaningful that space is. For many, it's more than just a program. It is a place of refuge, it is a safe haven, and it's a true lifeline for connection, engagement, and routine. There are so many active participants at the center on a daily basis, and it's a reflection of something so incredibly powerful. When we invest in our manamkus, they thrive. That is why I want to take a moment to recognize the phenomenal and amazing job that Director Walter Manglonia has done and continues to do with patience, with consistency, and with deep care. And yes, the Office on Aging receives federal funds, but I also believe their current request is not only justified, it is incredibly worthy of full support, and then some. But I also believe that this is a moment for us to come together as a government and as a community to invest even further. So let us not see this as an obligation, but as a shared calling to build a CNMI where our manamkus feel valued, our family caregivers are supported, and our policies reflect the compassion of our people. Sizos Maasi, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chelsea Cabrera. The podium is still open for any members of the public who are still here that wishes to make comments. Please proceed. The podium is still open. Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Trowami. My name is Rafaela Odeshiperi. I am one of the Manamko. I like to talk in Chamorro or in Rafalawash. Hang Shabut. Shabutulu Karatufe. Nimushal Wibutungar. Bangaremal Baba Tolonge. Bilamut Mr. Manglonia tutungar ba 300,000? Por favor. Ngaramal baba atataya husba mo 500,000. Beragi necesita manamko shal trillial, shal luta, shal sepel patir me tarbarek langali milklar kulolal na im. Mali samo naman Mr. Manglonia ekalekaju dara ramas. Lebong leral bangarayor federal grants ebo ishi ebo shumte laila hirti alu babita feri trabajo lal. Zahub na beken tu som refalor sa kulan ti gos utunga kumentus samor por favor lau dispensa sa ansinya bay sangan na gifinu samor bay sangan malaga sa bay panggaga kausinya nakahulog no i 300,000 to 500,000 sa si Mr. Manglonia gusmalik na magas parami kahuhulog itempun itan ni man mamay ko sa asotsoki Sonia pues matugatag yung office sa federal o true oran niya za ganay iprohimo zajas siyempre zajas sa anis ang puwingin no como paro fatsotso pasuka kakawamzo por favor kausinya na inaya mas sa como man matamzo gato ki center isti saipan sinya man ginading amzo nizon mami walkway. I noticed that. And I am willing, if you provide the money, and we like to upgrade our center to, if you provide the money and they want to paint, I'll volunteer. Isn't it, Mr. Manglonia? I'll do what I can do. And that's all I am asking. Please help us. And if you can raise that amount of money that Mr. Manglonia is requesting to $500,000 to help the 3 islands. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Jesus Mosi, Senora Rafaela. Podium is still open for any members of the public who wishes to make comments. Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable leaders, friends, and beloved Manamcos. My name is Aurora Decibel, and a humble president and queen of the Manamco. It is both an honor and responsibility to stand before you today to speak on behalf of my fellow elders and to express our deepest appreciation to the Office of the Aging and its incredible leadership and staff. Let me clear you will find a better team. You will not find a better team. More dedicated director, more compassionate service anywhere else. I say this with pride and with the confidence of someone who has witnessed in first hand. Our director is not just a leader. He is a servant leader. He shows up, rain or shine, even when he is not feeling his best. Why? Because he knows that the Manamcos rely on him. Because he cares about us. Because he understands that we, the Manamco, are a community with needs, concerns, and complaints that must be heard daily. I might say, he listens to every single one of us with patience, dignity, and respect. He is extremely compassionate and always respectful. We are sensitive and delicate demographic. Yes, we know it. We complain about everything. That's just in our nature. But no matter what we bring to the table, whether it's about our food, transportation, or facilities, our director and his dedicated team never make us feel like we are a burden. They make us feel seen. They make us feel valued. They make us feel like we still matter. And that matters a whole lot. To our leaders, I say this with all due respect and sincerity. Please support whatever our director is asking for his budget. This funding is not for him, it is for us, the elders of our islands, the ones who paved the way. We are still here and we still have needs. The DCCA Secretary, Jack Rabauliman, and Director are fighting for us. We need your support to ensure that the Manamco are not forgotten. We understand that these are challenging times. We understand that the government has many priorities, that we hope you will agree that caring for the elders, your fathers, mothers, aunties, uncles, and grandparents must always be a priority. I've seen how much money was given to the Office of the Aging last year and the year before that. It is best I don't mention it here. To our leaders, I hope that this year will be different. Thank you, and good day, everyone.
Thank you, Mrs. Aurora Decibel. Podium is still open.
I bet you let telephone, no?
Podium is still open for any members of the public who are here that wishes to make comments. Seeing that there is no further public comments, at this time, public comments is now closed. And we move further down on our next item, which is item 4, introduction and statement of the chair. At this time, the chair want to welcome you, Secretary Bolliman, and your team and your staff, and most especially welcome you guys, Manomco. Welcome to your chamber. We thank you, Secretary Bolliman, for coming before us to discuss your budget requests and, of course, the governor's proposal that was submitted to the legislature back in April 1st. So with that, we thank you and your team. And before we give you the floor for your opening testimony and your presentation, let me first recognize and introduce the members of this standing committee. Starting from myself, I am Representative J.P. Sablon, Chair of the committee. To my left, I have Representative B.J. Atto, Vice Chair of the committee. We have our floor leader, Representative Marisa Flores. To her left, we have Representative Julie Ogle from the 1st Senatorial District. To her left, we have Representative Vincent O'Don. And to his left, we have Representative Roman Benavente. And to the other side of the aisle, we have Representative Joe Flores. We have Representative Patrick San Nicolas from the 2nd Senatorial District. To his left, we have Representative Denita Yangtamay. And to her left, we have Representative Ralph Yumo. And to his left, we have Leader Roy Ada. And to my immediate right, we have Representative Joel Camacho. Assisting our committee this morning are our bureau staff, starting with our legal counsel, Mr. Joseph Hallahan. We have our legal analyst, Mr. T.G. Rabago. We have our senior legislative assistant, Ms. Claire Sablon. Our IT, Mr. Jonathan Diaz. We also have our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Pete Towai. Also this morning here with us from the office of OMB is Ms. Vicky Villagomez to assist us on today's budget hearing deliberation. So with that, Mr. Secretary Robaliman, at this time I give you the floor for your opening testimony and your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of this honorable body. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you and talk about the budget. But let me also recognize the tremendous support that are behind me today from the Office of Aging. So thank you very much, everybody. Also, I'd like to introduce to you all the division directors that are with me today. To my far left, we have Gordon Salas. He's the director of the CCLP, which is the licensing for childcare. To my immediate left is Ms. Margaret Aldan. She's the NAP administrator. To my right is Mona Camacho. She is the acting, or was the acting Language Commission director. And to her right is Ms. Vivian Sablan. She is the administrator for the DYS, Division of Youth Services. And to her right is Ms. Maribel Lostes. She is the CCDF or Child Care Development Fund administrator. And to her right is none other than the star of today's hearing, Mr. Walter Manglonia. He's the director of aging. And to his right is Ms. Martha Iftik. She's the acting HPO officer. So, and I'm Frank Rabalman, of course, the Secretary of the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. Again, thank you for this opportunity. Let me first state the obvious. Mr. Chairman and members of this body, we are in full support of the governor's submission. In fact, we are fortunate that we were granted all the FTEs that we had asked for, and I'm sure we could use more, but given the restrictions and restraints, I think we're in good hands from OMB. So my presentation this morning is going to be quite brief. We're going to start out with our mandate, what DCCA is charged to do, and then from there we're going to focus in on the overall resources and people that we serve on the department's perspective. And then after that, we're going to go into each division. So before you on the screen is what we are charged to do. We essentially are the department charged to serve your most valuable assets, and that's your people, your community, and especially the most vulnerable, your elderly, your toddlers, your infants, and those who are very needy. So we also do historic and landmark conservation, as well as preservation of our indigenous heritage and traditions. Go ahead. And just as I pointed out when I introduced all the members or the division directors, these are the divisions under the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. I just want to point out that two of our division directors are not here. One of them is the director of the Arts Council is in the hospital as we speak. And then another one for the LIHEAP, she is Miss Russell Billy. She's off island on personal matters. So again, there are 9 divisions under the department. It's one of perhaps one of the bigger departments under the executive branch. So from the macro perspective, this is essentially what resources we have to your right, which is the right hand of the screen, is essentially all the resources that we have, both local and federal. And then based on the submissions of each division, the number of individuals that we serve. As you can see, the local is about 2% of all the resources that are available to us. And there's 98% from federal. Much of this is as a result of a huge bump from NAP to the tune of some $20 million. And we'll get into that when we go into the divisions. And this slide shows the breakdown of those resources, both federal and local. 9% of all that money is in personnel. Operations is about 2%. And the majority of the funding goes to direct and indirect client benefits. These are your subsidies, these are your benefits, everything that goes to the clients or the beneficiaries, including meals that are provided to the Manamcos. So overall, the total amount is over 71 million. So going down into each office, starting from the secretary's office, we were, and this is from 2025. I'm sorry to. These are all these figures are all from 2025, not 2026 budget. It's a 2025 budget. So we were provided 100% is local to the tune of 263,000. All of these go into pay for personnel and 8 FTEs from the secretary's office. And of course, our output or data is comprised of serving the 9 divisions. Starting with the first fully local division, this is the Chamorro Carolinian Language Policy Commission. We have 5 FTEs, and it's fully local, locally funded to the tune of $190,000. There's zero operations. They're all go into the personnel. And the data or the output for this year, we were able to translate or assist in the translations 57 translations of regulations, proclamations, etc. And the media coverage, one of our staff goes out and takes pictures and outreach information on the different proclamations and different social activities. The other fully local is the Child Care Licensing Program. It has 4 FTEs presently, and I'm happy to announce that through OMB support, we were granted 1 additional FTE. And these individuals, go ahead. The 4 FTEs regulate all the daycare centers to ensure that the health and safety of the clients are taken care of. There's as you can see, the total enrollment exceeds over 1,400 individuals as we speak. Toddlers and preschool kids. Here's Child Care and Development Fund. This is fully federal. It has 15 FTEs. They're all 100% covered federal. The funding source for Child Care Development Fund last or this year is 8 million, which is a decrease of about 2 million from the previous year. And these folks ensure the quality of service in the different centers. They also work with homebound relative care, and these are child care services that are provided by relatives at home. And then they also provide funding for after-school programs. Many of these are provided by nonprofit organizations from Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda doesn't have after school, but Rhoda right now with daycare centers, CCDF through funding from CDBG is working on constructing a child care center. Moving on to the Arts Council, this is partly federal, partly local. We also were fortunate to get a coordinator for the coming fiscal year 2026. The federal funding that you see on there is just one of the grants that we are managing right now. There are other grants that have been awarded, but we haven't tapped into yet. Let me just say that for fiscal year 2026, Arts Council, along with Historic Preservation Office, we're not on the President's submission to the U.S. Congress. Whether that's going to remain the same throughout, after the legislature or U.S. Congress deliberates over it, I'm unsure. But from what I've heard, Arts Council and HBO were not on the submission. Moving on to the data that you see there are pretty much anecdotal. These are the estimated number of participants in those social functions or the social activities. And the Division of Youth Services, of course, they do a lot of intervention work. They also provide shelters. And much of the funding that you see there is all for personnel. The operations, the federal funds are the operations, including part of the staff. True. And I welcome the division directors to chime in if I'm missing something.
Good morning, everyone. To add on to the secretary, I think I'm the deviant one here. My apologies, as the information here reflects FY 2026. If I was to paint a picture of the current fiscal year, I'll be at the 2.5 million mark, only because I do have a lot of extras this fiscal year. However, those will all be expiring September 30 of this year. So for next fiscal year, I will remain with our social services consolidated block grant, which spells it out here at close to 1.5 million. All others, all the extras that we got, the ARPA, our carryover from the social services block grant from previous years, we are no longer going to have that for FY 2026. So if you look at the total of my federal funding, we are only at 1.5 versus the 2.5 that I currently have. Yes, so that's a huge difference, and I would like to paint the clear picture for next year. And just to give everybody a little bit of our background, with those monies, I know it's showing there's 38 total FTEs. For admin, we have a total of 5. Our child protective services, a total of 9. Our emergency shelter, which is a 24/7 operation, we have a total of 8 FTEs. Juvenile probation is 5. Our main prevention program, the Family and Youth Enhancement Program, which also operates out of the Cayman Community Center and Tanopac Youth Center, we have 7. And of course, Tinian and Rhoda DYS has 2 each. And the reason that I mentioned that is on our proposal and the governor's request, we would like to seek your concurrence in allowing for the 4 FTEs that we had requested for and is stated on the governor's proposal. Reason being, I know you guys read the paper. We were also in the paper this morning regarding our first to third quarter. You have here on the screen our 2024, fiscal year 2024 data. In the paper this morning, we also released our first to third quarter data. And we are really, like the secretary had mentioned earlier, needing the extra personnel. Even with the extras, I know we can do a lot more with more, but even the 4 would help a lot in case managing the families and children that come our way. I'll yield back to the secretary, and I'll wait for any other questions that will come up soon.
Moving on to the Historic Preservation Office. This is partly federal, partly local. All the local funds, again, go into the personnel, although the federal side was able to cover about 20%, or no, 12.5% of the personnel. And that was as a result of the austerity. Yeah. And these are the data, or essentially the output coming from Historic Preservation Office. As you probably know, there's a lot of activities in Tinian. We're going through a lot of the 106 consultations on that. We're also involved in the major siting permit. And then, of course, as a regulatory agency, we do issue we sign off on the One Start permit. So, along with the formula grant, we were also fortunate to get a disaster grant in the tune of $6 million. This was granted about 2 years ago, and essentially to restore historic buildings, and we were able to get I think 20 some Capitol Hill government buildings that we were able to, renovate, along with 6 other historic buildings that are off-site, 6 or 5, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Ramona Camacho. I've been managing the 6 million project under the direction of Secretary Rebalaman. And we, out of the 27 Capitol Hill complex buildings, we have completed 10. The other 8 will be coming out as requests for quotes. As a matter of fact, they were sent out yesterday. The remaining 9 buildings is also going to go out for requests for quote next week. That shall close us out with the Capitol Hill complex buildings. Then we have 5 off-site, meaning out of the Capitol Hill complex, that are going to go out for a request for proposal because of the amount that we're looking at. One is Congress of Micronesia, one is the bunker, Japanese substation, zoning office, and museum pillbox. So there's some photos there for the 5 buildings that I just listed that we will be also rehabilitating. So that will kind of like close out our 6 million. As of today, for the 10 buildings that are completed, we have spent 996,000. And then for our project manager and 2 other salaries with our GIS, we have spent about $148,000. So all remaining funds will be committed. I did a budget modification that was submitted to our grantor to repurpose all the fundings that's left from other categories to commit to renovations.
Mark, you have anything to add?
We can get back to HPO matters throughout.
LIHEAP is also one of those divisions that it was reported that was not included in the president's submission and could probably be phased out as well. Since 2022, the funding for this program continues to decline. So currently, all of the local funding that goes into this program, or most of it, is in personnel. But 83% of the federal funds are pretty much in benefits to assist the clients in defraying the cost of electricity and utilities. And this is the data for all the households served and total individuals. And then perhaps one of the bigger divisions under DCCA, of course, is the NAP program. For your information, NAP is currently working on the EBT, which is the electronic benefit transfer, the card for our NAP clients. And as we speak, they're currently doing all the testing. The plan is that the EBT card is going to go live come October. The funding that you see there, this is fully federal, by the way, of course. The funding that you see there, 56 million, is kind of interesting because when we signed the MOU, which contains the budget for this fiscal year, when we signed the budget, it was in 53 million. It was at 53 million, but NAP was, FNS, the Food Nutrition Service, the grantor, they were only able to afford 34 million of it, which expired back in April. But because we were, we not expired, it was expended rather. So what we did was we went month to month based on their FNS recommendation that we were going to be asking for funding as we move forward towards the end of the fiscal year. So that's how the budget came up to 56 million. Mike, you want to add?
Good morning, everybody. So, yes, we were actually advised to write our budget, to submit a budget proposal in FY 2025 for 34,812,000. But they allowed us to put this wording, additional amounts necessary to maintain benefits for fiscal year 2025 may be made available as needed and as determined by the USDA in consultation with the CNMI. So we were very fortunate. Since January, we've been meeting, and telling them by May there is no money. So in April, we were informed that we were going to be getting, actually we started with 4 million in May, letter of credit every month. And then lo and behold, about 2 weeks ago, we were informed we got 12 million more. I'm like, whoa. So yes, that's how it happened. Unfortunately, it's a different story for FY 2026, but that's a later topic. Thank you.
And of course, the data here is just to give you a perspective. These numbers continue to rise over the few years that we've been monitoring. These numbers are going to continue to rise, and of course, at present, we are at around $4 million monthly benefits that are issued, and of course, with the closure of businesses and we anticipate that there's going to be more individuals coming in and requesting to get subsidies from NAP. Go ahead. You want to talk about this?
So last year, they started what they call the Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Program, Summer EBT. So it was supposed to be like just a one-time deal. We were very fortunate. Actually, all the states and the territories are fortunate because now they're making it a permanent program, and it's called the Sunbox program. So this program provides, benefits for school-age children during the summer months. The benefit level is $177 per child, and we submitted a proposal last year. Actually, we put it down to 11,000 because PSS informed us that there's like about 10,500 estimate school children. So we just went for the 11,000. So that's times 177. Unfortunately, the Sunbox program for the administration part of the budget, there is a 50% required matching. So, that's the only thing. But it is now a permanent program. Every year we submit an application. The past 2 years, we requested for a blanket application, meaning parents don't have to submit as long as the child's name is on that list that we get from the public school system for both the private and the public schools. They qualify. So that's this Sunbox program. So it's separate funding, separate grant from the regular NAP program. Funding source.
Okay, and moving on to Office of Aging. Again, the 183,000 that was budgeted for Office of Aging is all in personnel. Walt, you want to chime in on this?
Good morning, Chairman and Vice and fellow members of the House. Also, I want to just thank the Monamco and those who got up and testified on behalf of our program. I just want to acknowledge and thank the governor for, giving us the FTEs that we need. Our program's expanding, and being able to build the capacity that's needed to serve our elders becomes extremely vital. But there's just a few things that I wanted to point out. I write the grants for our program. Since 2023, we've earned over $1,777,000. 24, a little bit below that at $1.5 million, and this fiscal year 2025, we also received $1.5 million. And I hope that doesn't really, provide the whole story of being able to have the capacity to be able to pay for services. And one of the big reasons for that is that all of these federal grants are actually broken down into different missions, different purposes. So we only have 3 grants that we use for food. And even though we did not receive any food funding, we were able to cut costs in other services. We decreased so many services that we used to do, but despite that, a lot of my team, and this is something that you don't see, have stepped up and decided to help out the Monamco regardless whether or not, we have the funding for it. Some of them will bring their own equipment. We will go out there and we will partner out with people to make sure that we continue to serve our Monamco. All of our repairs for the building was done due to reaching out, and of course with the help of CIP, we're addressing our restroom issues here in Saipan. With Rhoda, I just received word that the mayor is willing to step up and cover the cost to be able to take care of their restroom issue, and we've already got a engineer to go down there and do a full assessment, so that's in the works. And I just want to recognize the presence and thank our councilwoman and also my administrative staff and coordinator from Tinian, Ms. Marisa Nicolas, who's sitting outside there. And I want to talk more about that later on, but I don't want to ramble on. I just want to point out, Mr. Chair, 3 important factors. So whenever we write federal grants, a lot of our grantors review our spend plan, what we're going to use the money for. And one of the things that's often echoed is the fact that we haven't received any operational funding, which kind of violates the federal mandate of supplementing, not supplanting. So we cannot use federal funds to be able to cover expenses and services without an existing fund. And each year, we have to submit a certification of maintenance of effort to show that the CNMI government is still adhering to this law. And I have 3 emails with me right now. 2 of them is basically reminding me to strongly communicate with our leaders and to let them know that if this continues, there's a possibility that they might even stop our program or even ask the CNMI government to return what they already gave. This is a very serious email, and I want to provide you guys this copy, Mr. Chairman.
Please, if you are in liberty, we would like to see those documents.
Thank you. Yeah. And of course, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that our clientele, based on our projection, have steadily increased. And of course, with inflation, I don't need to touch base on that. You guys have been to the store and see how much things cost. We currently pay for Saipan $3.75 per meal. I can guarantee you that's going to change come next year, February. And what if the lowest bidder is 550? We're going to be forced to start putting Manamco on waiting lists. Manamco that are in dire need of food, we have to put them on waiting lists because now I have to figure out how can I afford this, you know? Out of all of our federal grants that we have in place, I just want to go through it real quick. You know, our congregate meals program under C1, and the home delivered meals under C2, and the support grant that I apply for every year, the nutrition service incentive program, are the only grants that I can use to pay for food. As much as I want to be able to use supportive services, elder abuse prevention, I can't. I think that's what creates confusion, because when they look at the overall projection and they say, man, these guys got over $1 million. Over $1 million, over $500,000 of that just goes to pay for the salaries of the staff. And a bulk of that goes to the salaries of our CSEP participant trainees. And one of the reasons why I'm really advocating for more staff is not just for building of capacity, but also to adhere to DOL's requirement to make sure that there's a passage of a potential employment for our CSEP participant who are doing the work. Right now, the reason why we're holding on is because a lot of our trainees are the ones out there delivering food, right? We're not supposed to depend on them. They're trainees. They're supposed to be doing the job in the hopes that eventually they're going to get hired as a full-time employee. So we were progressively successful with that in the past years. And in the past couple of years, unfortunately, you know, that was put onto a hold. And I've been written, and the secretary can attest to this. We are not meeting, you know, our percentage in regards to meeting the program's requirement. And that's getting at least 7 of our participants hired every year. So we're trying our best. We're reaching out there. And I understand, you know, like the economy is not doing very well. People are losing their job. Hotels are shutting down. We follow, you know, the whole media thing, and we understand. And I do communicate this with our grantor, and they have a sense of leniency to an extent, but at the same time, the law's the law. Okay, and I just want to make sure that our program doesn't get stopped, or we're not going to put Manamco on waiting lists. And at the same time, I want to make sure that, you know, our Manamco are put in the category of priority, because along with the children, DYS, and of course childcare and everybody else who care for the population of our islands, you know, I stand with them, and I hope we get something this year, just to be able to adhere to our federal requirement. Last but not least, I poured all these data for you guys to take a look, that despite all the challenges, Chairman, even if we make certain sacrifices, cuts, use our own utilities, we still make ends meet. And I want to give a huge thank you to a lot of you guys who reach our office. Chairman, you're one of them. Vice, you guys reached out and offered to help out with our cleaning services, offered to be able to cover certain expenses, and we appreciate that. And I know Congressman Julie, thank you so much for your donation with the food and the vegetables and stuff. All those things are still accounted for to be able to make sure that we meet our maintenance of effort. And a big thank you to the Mayor of Tinian and Rhoda and Saipan for all their contributions in helping our program. So as a community, I see the love. I want the Manamco to know that this body, you guys are always supporting us, and I know that it's tough. Your job is really tough right now, but I just hope that you guys take us under consideration and read this, because I'm going to go ahead and end with this one, and then you guys can ask questions later on. One of the things that are going to be moved and potentially phased out are some of the most important services for our Manamco. And one of these programs include Elder Rights Program, and this is the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. The Adult Protective Services are potentially going to be slashed. Our Elder Abuse and Neglect and Exploitation Program, we basically received $2,000 some for that program. And if you're gonna slash 40% of that, what are we gonna do? With that money, like you gas the car to go check Monamco for elder abuse, and after 1 week, right? And when we're talking about supplanting, we cannot use funding from congregate meals to gas the car to go check Monamco for elder abuse purposes. We cannot have my staff that majority are getting paid under federal grants, some of them under congregate meals, some of them under supportive services, to step out and do something else unless there's funding on that grant to be able to pay for that time shared. Because supplanting is a very serious federal violation. And I meet with our grantor weekly, and this is a constant reminder that we have a very strict oversight. And we've actually got good grace. And I got an email here. This is not just to boast myself, but just to let you guys know that we are doing our part to make sure that we adhere to all of the federal regulations. So other than that, the Aging and Disability Resource Center used to make things a lot easier for Monamco to be able to reach out to resources. I have reached out to our internet service provider and spoke to one of our host provider to be able to close down that internet because there's not going to be any funding at the end of this year. So health promotion programs, this is not yet decided. I'm pretty sure they're going to fight for this, but how things went with the whole beautiful bill that recently passed, it doesn't look like there's going to be any, challenge regarding this. But preventive health programs is very important. I've committed myself that even if they phase out this program, I'm going to continue to assist our Monamco to make sure that we tap into things. And I give a huge thank you to Dr. Chelsea Cabrera for volunteering and, the people in the community coming to the center and providing free service, because these are the things that, is definitely going to be affected. Our lifespan respite care, Chairman, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me and Dr. Cabrera regarding this, because recent studies shows that a lot of our caregivers are passing away first than the people they're caring for because of the stress and the heavy, like obligation that they have to deal with. But some of the challenges, that includes access assistance, respite care, counseling, being able to help provide training for them to care for the elder, and ultimately not to lead to elder neglect. I've personally went out 41 cases to date. I met with families, and I've seen things that, it won't show up on my budget bill. But the things that my staff and myself do outside of working hours, they get calm time. I just do this out of love, and if we don't care for our Monamco, what's going to happen with them moving forward, right? So we definitely need to continue to come up with a contingency plan because we want to continue this service. Our information technology grant under the GPMS, under the USDOL, have already concluded. They basically ended June 30. We lost 4 employees because of that. And a lot of these 4 employees were actually very helpful. So all that bulk of responsibility falls down on me. One of the reasons why I really want locally funded FTEs, Chairman, is so that I can actually divert these assignments to them. I can give them the proper training. I'm a certified trainer for practically all of my program. I've been with the program for over 2 decades. I have 14 different certifications to train, so we don't have to pay anybody to do that. So we do PD with my staff on occasion. It's unfortunate that we don't have that actual capacity because majority of my staff are out there delivering bento because of the large increase of food, and all these food needs to be delivered to them within that 2-hour time period to be able to meet the health requirement, health safety requirement. Our expanding health program will conclude September 30, and one of our FTEs will definitely cover one of our employees that could be exiting at the end of the program, but we have a little dilemma because this employee is a civil service employee. So we're going to have to, if we don't get the FTE, we're going to have to tap into our food money, which we're already having challenges. And I sat down with my fiscal team, primarily our accountant, and she was very clear. She said, Director, you got to emphasize, because I'm looking at our current projection right now, and even as it stands, it looks like we're going to be negative, which is going to result into putting people on waiting lists. And that's the last thing we want to do. And of course, our No Wrong Door program will also conclude, including our APS ARPA, September 30. So I'm going to go ahead and yield back to the Secretary. I'm sorry it took a long time, but I feel like this needs to be, strongly communicated. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. I did say we were going to be brief today on the presentation, so we're fast approaching the 10-minute mark, I guess. But before I turn it over, may I ask the Child Care Director and Administrator if you have anything else to add? Okay. Would you like to add something?
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, and members of this August body. All I have to say is that we do agree with the Governor's budget proposal. We're very grateful. I know that we're all going through a lot of stuff, and so that we have to, try and make whatever ends meet. And that's all. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation, Mr. Chairman. Are you back?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and because we are already at the 11 o'clock, let's have just a short 5-minute break for just a restroom break, and then we'll come back and we'll go on a marathon of questions and answers. Short recess. Good morning again, members, and to the viewing public. We rise back to our budget hearing. And before we had that short recess, the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs had just concluded their very informative presentation. So with that, Mr. Secretary, we will start now with the questions and answers, and I hope that we can meet the 12 o'clock mark and try to wrap up on that time. But with that, let me start with your vacancies in your department, Secretary. I know that as I was reviewing your divisions under your department, most of your division have filled in the vacancy, and it's great to see. But there are I just bump into one, the Chamorro and Carolinian Language Commission. We still have two vacant positions, and these are very important positions. These are Executive Director and Administrative Officer 3 that are currently vacant. I'm not too sure if it's already filled since your submission, since the budget submission on April 1st. So can we get clarity to the body on these two positions?
Okay, I'm Mona Camacho, and I was the acting executive director for the language office. So we recently filled for the admin officer. We actually had to restructure that to the Chamorro and Carolinian translator. So he will be coming on board by next week, Monday.
Okay, so that's in the process to fill the
It's done.
Administrative Officer 3.
It's done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And then that leads me to my second question, Secretary. I know that your first part of your presentation, you spoke about federal grants award that you have not yet tapped in, that is being awarded. What is this federal grant award? And when do you have that already liquid funding here in the Commonwealth, or it's pending?
Yes, the award has been awarded, but we haven't yet just tapped into it. These are these are grants that are open for drawdowns, but we haven't gotten to them yet because we're now we're referring to, of course, the Arts Council. So we just finished working on the fiscal year 22 award. And so we've requested the NEA for a time extension on the 23 and 24. Those have been awarded. We just need a time extension. And then we just accepted 25, fiscal year 25 award in the tune of 300,000.
Thank you for that clarity. So most part of this grant that you are alluding to is for the Arts Council grant?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then my next question is with regards to your utilities. I see that only your LIHAP section was awarded, and most of your other divisions are have zero for utilities. So my question to you is currently, what's paying for your utilities for your whole entire department? What source of funding?
I'll yield to the division directors. Go ahead.
For DYS, it's our federal funding.
For the CCDEP program, it's federal.
Office on Aging, 100% federal.
For HPO, it's 100% federal, and also HPO, because Secretary Balaman is a state historic preservation officer, we are allowed to use our formula grant to pay for the utility for the Secretary's office.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and one more for the language commission office. We are housed, thank you, Mr. Magnolia, for housing the language staff or office in your building. And we don't pay for utility because we're actually
sharing the building.
Yes, and I
Okay.
do encourage that. I'm advocating for the aging office to be given funding for the utilities also because he is housing our office.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that response. Go ahead, ma'am.
For the nutrition assistance program, it's 100% federally funded.
Okay.
Chairman, for the child care licensing program, the Child Care Development Fund is actually assisting us.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Which leads me to my next question before I open up to the rest of the members. Mr. Secretary, I know all through your presentation, part of the presentation also itemizes the indirect costs, right, for all these grants. But all these indirect costs, we just want to make it clear that all these indirect costs does not funnel back to the department. This is through the OGM office. It's funneled through that. Can you please state it if that's correct?
Yes, the IDC or indirect cost, it goes to OGM, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and this is a lot of indirect costs of you guys' federal grants. So I'll yield for now, and then I'll now recognize the Vice to expound more on what we plan to do with the indirect costs. Vice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, and to your team. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. On the indirect costs, I think in your presentation it talks about $1.3 million. That's the total amount of indirect costs? Or what's the total amount?
Yes, that's the total amount for all the divisions that are receiving the federal funds,
Including NAP?
including that.
Including NAP, okay. And all of this is going to OGM right
I'm
now?
assuming it does.
Okay, so would DCCA be in support of adding language to the budget that would reserve the indirect costs to remit back to DCCA?
That's
We
music to
will
the
greatly-
ears.
We would
All
greatly
right.
appreciate that, especially the moment that aging needs that help.
Sure,
Yeah.
and then I guess the follow-up question to that, would that indirect cost from the various grants that DCCA is receiving, would that be an allowable matching to the Sunbox program and to the Manomco grant? Would that be allowable?
I need to confirm that, Vice, but from what I'm hearing, you can use federal funds for matching requirements.
Yeah, but I'm saying because the indirect costs now, if you funnel it back to where it goes right now to the Office of Grants Management, it technically becomes local funds,
Yes.
right? So would that be considered a wash back to you guys?
We
Be
can-
local funds.
We can confirm that.
If we can do that, maybe
yeah.
we can utilize some of those funds to address the shortages for the food program, for example,
Thank you.
the matching to the NAP program and the matching to the Manomco program and any other types of grants that need local matching for DCCA.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so we'll add that language into the budget so you guys can utilize that $1.3 million back to DCCA. And on the projects on Tinian, I know that these HPO is a big part of the major siding. How much has been collected with the military buildup with the major sidings on Tinian?
That's a BCQ question, Vice.
None of these monies go to you guys as a permitting agency?
It stays at DCRM, my understanding.
Revolving accounts. How many revolving accounts do you have currently within the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs?
I know that CCD. No, go ahead.
For NAP, we don't have.
Program income.
What about our program income?
That's a revolving fund. Childcare licensing doesn't have one, but I believe NAP has program income.
For CCDF, we also have a program income.
For DYS, we have 1 revolving and 3 special accounts.
What's the revolving account at DYS?
The revolving is our Leadership in Disabilities and Achievement of Hawaii. We have funding that comes in quarterly. We are at the end of our 5-year term. That also, I am not sure if we are going to be renewed. We had submitted everything that has been asked for, but we haven't received any notification. But it's considered revolving because we were regularly putting in the checks that were coming into us.
Okay. Revolving but in your case, it's restricted revolving
Yes,
account,
yes.
right? Okay. Non-local revolving accounts.
No.
Under DCCA.
No program income.
Okay. Special funds. What about the special funds?
So the special funds, I have one for the after-school program, which still has a chunk in there. I am very restricted to the after-school program goals and objectives. And then we have a special account for child abuse and neglect victims. There's about 3,000 some in there. And we also have a special account for a youth enhancement special projects that also has about 3,000 left in there.
All right, thank you for that. The Chamorro and Carolinian Language Commission. I know that we worked on a legislation to allow you guys to create that revolving account, right?
Yes, and it was Congressman Joel Camacho that we're working on the House Bill Act so that we can get fees promulgated. So we are actually about 80% done preparing that to forward the House Bill Act that we also had some language inserted to forward back to Congressman Joel Camacho.
Okay, and so are we at the completion stage from your end to
Yes,
get the
we are.
legislation back this way?
Yes, we are, because I had to sit down with our language team, which was the 2 translators in different vernaculars, to get their input on the fee schedule.
Okay, and you guys have a fee schedule broken down already?
Yes, we do.
All right, so with that being said, in a rough amount, how much is the actual collection for these translations requested by the courts or any other entity?
As soon as the House bill passes and we get to promulgate the fees, it varies in different categories because we got translation coming in for regulations. We got translations coming in for themes, proclamations, and we do get a request from the court for an interpreter or a translator to be present. So, the fees will vary, but it does detail down in different categories.
But currently, is it just a flat rate of $20 for service, or?
We don't have anything in place right now until we get that.
So the general fund's not receiving any money at all from
For the
this?
translation, no. As a matter of fact, we have informed the people that request, or agencies that request for translation. As of June, we have put translation services on hold due to the reorganization of the office, where we're working on the fee schedule, which we're actually done with. And we're visiting the public law, what actually our mandates are, why we were established. So we're talking about updating the orthographies in both vernacular, Chamorro and Carolinian, because any request that comes in, it has to go out in both languages.
Okay, so with that being said, I know that you guys will be forwarding the legislation to Congressman Joel Camacho, but can, Mr. Chairman, can we get it as a request from your office to get these fees so we can tag it into this budget, create this special account within the budget, at least for this fiscal year, while that legislation is in process, so DCCA can start collecting the money starting October 1st and moving forward?
Thank you. We greatly appreciate that. And yes, definitely we'll get that even before the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And with that, I thank you guys again, and I yield my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice. And let that be an official request to this August body. And this time, let me recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Thank you, Chairman. The Vice already kind of answered my question when I was going to suggest the same, where the indirect cost of aging is over 300,000, and that should cover the request they're asking. But I just have one question, and I think Ms. Camacho has touched on it, and it's basically the U2 grant, and when is it expiring? And my only question is, out of the 3.1 million, how much of that has been, because it's been 2 years and it hasn't been touched yet. So I just want you to elaborate more on that.
Okay, so the total amount that we were awarded was 6 million. 3.4, if I'm not mistaken, was actually committed for the renovation or rehabilitation. So 996,000 is already spent down for the 10 completed buildings in the Capitol Hill complex. We were, because we show good standing, good performance with our spend downs on the projects, we were extended up to 2027.
Okay.
But we expect to finish all the projects at least by the end of 2026.
Okay, that's great to hear, because I know the cinema has been affected by the audits, and a lot of the federal grants are sort of jeopardized. So I just wanted to make sure that a lot of this improvement, is protected. We can't, I mean, a lot of our buildings are pretty old, and that's including this building, but I'm not sure if this building is included in the 3.1, but.
Your legislative archive building is included.
Okay.
So that should be forthcoming on our request for code number 5, which will be out by next week.
Okay.
Yes, and just to let you guys know that we always have to make sure we have a bi-weekly conference call with our chief grantor. So everything we do, even a matter of material requirements through Secretary of Interior standards, we always go back and forth with our National Park Services. Even contracts, they review before we process them out.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Ralph Yumo. Any other members who wishes to ask questions? Maybe let me ask, I know that, Secretary, most of your requests were actually awarded with regards to NOPs, and that is great to see that the governor's proposal had honor most of your division's requests. But maybe perhaps this question is for you, Ms. V. Under CCLC, they still remain at 5 positions there, but there is a variance under personnel of about 3,000 plus. So my question is, are those on fringe benefits that there was a decrease on the personal part of it? But they are status quo versus this fiscal year and the governor's proposal. It's still at 5 NOPs, but there is we're calculating that there's a decrease of a tune of 3,000 on the personnel.
I would assume that the variance is coming from the fringe benefits, because if you look at the department submission and the governor's proposal, there is a variance, like, for example, in the group health.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So that would perhaps be on the fringe benefits.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Let me recognize Representative Julie Ogo.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Balaman, and your directors and staff for joining us today for this budget hearing. So I have a question on HPO. Does HPO have a revolving account?
Yes, it does. But it's currently the revolving fund relies heavily on reprinted books.
Oh, I
So
see.
if we sell those books, that goes into the revolving fund.
Okay.
We're working on a similar legislation that would empower or authorize the director to assess fees as a regulatory agency. So that's still in the works.
Yes, because even Rhoda, HPO, they're, asking the same thing, so I'm having the legal counsel look into it, because I think, because it's under DPL, right, and they can't collect fees. Most of the
They need to.
sites, yeah.
We need to promulgate the regulations that will specify, how those administrative orders are issued.
Okay. Who maintains the historical buildings and sites?
Didn't catch that one.
Who maintains the historical buildings and sites?
The historical buildings here.
Yeah,
Who maintains it?
yeah. Who cleans it,
HPO.
maintains it?
HPO. If
And-
they're on the national, if they're, what do you call this? If they're registered in the national registry, we go out and.
And those that are non-registered? And those that are non-registered?
I don't believe HPO manages those.
Most likely Parks and Recs are.
It needs to be registered.
Okay, because in Rhoda, I know, HPO, they do, maintain several historical buildings and sites, and
Yeah.
they're obviously asking for operational, fundings, which is for fuel and lubrications. So I believe the only alternative right now is to, look into that revolving account, and so we can collect fees from those sites.
If I may, I spoke to, I was down in HPO back in March to do an operational assessment to see what upgrades they need. And yes, we are, and they know that they will be getting new updated computers, printers. They will be getting one vehicle, new vehicle. And I just spoke to one of the staff of HPO last week. I'm the one who's asking them to send me their needs on their fuel. And that comes along with accountability of if you're cleaning up the site and you're going to get fuel and lubricants and whatnot, it has to be submitted here for
Okay.
audit purposes.
So they are aware of that.
They are aware.
What is your name again?
Mona Camacho. So I spoke to Eloy,
Yeah,
and I also spoke to the RD. So they are aware.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Camacho.
You're welcome.
For the sports and recreation staff, umpires is under sports and recreation, right? Certification of umpires is handled by sports and recreation?
I think that's been assigned to NAMASA,
NAMASA.
the current custodians of the at the gym and some of the sports complex.
What's NAMASA? I'm sorry.
Northern Marianas
Oh, I see.
Athletic Association or something like that.
Okay.
Sports Association.
So it's a nonprofit organization?
It's a nonprofit, but I believe it was a legislation that granted them that authority to oversee the sports.
Okay, okay. So let's say, for example, for certification or recertification, they go through NAMASA?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And this is directed to Walter Manglonia. I believe the oh no, you're okay. I believe the cooks in Rhoda are now being funded locally, right? The cooks in Rhoda. There's only one cook actually. There's only one cook, and it's been funded locally. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any federally funded cook currently assigned in Rhoda. Everything was assigned through the mayor's MOUs at the
MOUs,
moment. That's
yes.
why I'm asking for a cook because
Yeah, I was gonna ask that
Yes.
question. So those two vacants included Rhoda? Include one?
I got 3 for Rhoda, an
Okay.
admin assistant, a cook, and a driver.
Okay.
So that they can actually take off, instead
Yeah.
of having to work even if, they got stuff to do. So just having that safety net, I think, is going to make things more efficient.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that's all I have to ask. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Ayu.
Thank you, Rep. Julie. Secretary, just because a follow-up with questions with HPO. I know that you have 8 employees under HPO, and This is perhaps the only division under your department that is a permitting agency. And with this heavy, military buildups, right? I'm sure their work are perhaps workload are pretty much piling up with all these developments, not only from the military but even local developments. To even include CDBGDR, programs, and so it has come to my attention that you have been process working on some of these employees with their within grade increase, and that's very good to hear. Personally, as a policymaker, so I was told that there was that process. How's that process going? And I tend to agree to give these employees who are really working so hard, trying to help the government and all the other developers. So if you may.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to meet with Mr. Vicky one more time on that. Something fell out. We need to regroup and look into the WGI request increase.
Yes, please. I really hope that you guys can kind of figure out something. I mean, maybe perhaps the 8 employees there are really, in my view personally, are really overwhelmed with work, and knowingly all these upcoming developments. I mean, those employees will deserve that within great increase. So with that, thank you for that response. Any other members? Let me recognize Representative Roma Benavente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the Secretary and to the HPO. Are you the new HPO acting?
Just acting, yeah.
Yes. Do you have a historic preservation officer already?
Yes, we do have a historic preservation officer. She's currently off island for work, and then they'll be returning next week. So,
No. I'm talking about the one that does the inspection, as far as the site inspection and certified inspection and everything, so projects would move forward if there's projects, because that's what they're lacking right now.
You're probably referring to an archaeologist?
I'm sorry, archaeologist.
You're looking at the historian.
There's no archaeologist. True. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're having.
But we do need an archaeologist who certified the project sites and whatnot. I know there is one local here that is certified by the Park Service who is not working. I don't know if he's working yet, but he used to work for Parks and Recreation. That he would be an asset for the one to locate the site and help the archaeologists to kind of more or less get things rolling as far as the project's concerned, because a lot of the projects that I've seen are very slow because of the fact that there wasn't any archaeologists. They come and go because of whatever reason, I don't know.
Yeah, the vacancy announcement is out or has been out, and it's there's no timeline on it. It's until filled. So if you're the individual you're suggesting, if he's interested, by all means submit an application at OPM because the position is still vacant.
Yeah, thank you for that, because he was, I think Murdy is the actual director now. Yeah, Murdy is, I've talked to Murdy about it, and because of some projects delay, I try to help on the site to try to talk to Murdy if they do have the archaeologists to work on site, but unfortunately they didn't have that time. So I think it's just best to more or less hire as quick as possible, because we don't know the different projects that's coming out, even in Tinian, even here, even in Rhoda. We don't know. There's so many things that will be going around on the island of Saipan. So just like to address that issue. Thank you.
You yield, Representative Benavente?
I got another one also. I like to find out from the child care program. My dear child care program.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys get cuts from the federal government?
Yes, we did. We've been informed.
So how significant the cuts is?
6%.
So that
And it's
means-
across nationally with conversations amongst the administrators. We see between 3.5 to 6% cuts in our fundings.
Okay, so that means what your operational last year, and for your operational this coming year will
Fiscal
be
year.
less.
Yes.
6%.
Yes.
That's a very significant impact on the community.
It is. We're looking at about 600,000.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot. Anyway, we would, I know we cannot satisfy everything, but with the help of the chairman and every members over here, maybe we can come up with something, try to figure out how we can work things together. But also, I like to find out also about, Mr. Chairman, I like to ask also Miss Maggie Audon, with regards to the NAP, the food stamp, because everything was shut down on the papers that NAP will be be cut down to as far as the food stamp. Is that true? Do you have any cuts on the food stamp?
So for FY 2026, we are informed that we are assured only 34,812,000 as
That's
of
what-
July 12.
That's
Currently, we are running between 3.9 to 4 million a month, per month for benefit. So if you take 4 million times 12, that's 48 million. So unfortunately, we don't get any additional funding from the USDA Food and Nutrition Service. We are looking at about 35% decrease in benefit level. We have spoken to the U.S. delegate to advocate for our CNMI Nutrition Assistance Program for our entire CNMI community to
Okay.
continue at the funding level that we're receiving right now.
Thank you for that. And is there any time on your thoughts that would you like to implement a SNAP instead of NAP?
The biggest difference with SNAP and NAP is that there is a matching requirement, a local matching requirement. So right now, if we're running, even at 25% matching requirement, if we're running the program at 53 million, do we have that? 25% matching?
And that is the challenge too, that is the
Yeah.
challenge too that we have. But I know the secretary have alluded earlier that you are implementing the cart, and by implementing that cart, I think that will be more cost effective for the recipients, not only the recipients but even for NAP itself.
Yeah, they don't have.
That's what to my understanding.
It's true,
That's what.
because they don't have to count the coupons anymore, right? Both for
Yeah.
the staff and the retailers and all that. But, just an aside, we do talk to Guam, and they keep telling us, keep yourself a nap, don't be a snap. So, I don't know, but that's, it's an aside, a conversation.
And
that
that's
we have with
coming
Guam.
from FNS themselves.
Yes, and FNS.
Yeah.
But let me just put some emphasis on this because soon you're going to be hearing perhaps in the papers that there's going to be a drastic reduction on the benefits. As we're showing you right now, we projected that the funding is going to be at the end of the fiscal year is going to be 56 million. Last week we had a negotiation meeting with FNS, and we were made very clear, or were informed very clearly that the funding is going to be. They're going to assure us that we're at 34 million, and that there may not be any more available funding. The 56 includes a 20 million bump, and these are funding that came from the various funding sources like pandemic and disaster and you name it. They were able to use some of those funds to keep the level, the funding level as it is. But they're already also advising us that the likelihood of you guys remaining at 34 million is very good. So there's going to be some reduction. The plan is we're going to, if there's going to be a reduction, the plan is we're going to reduce the benefits and not the income level. So the same number of people are going to be served, but at a reduced benefit amount.
Thank you for that, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, I got one more that I'd like to, this also came out on the news. I know you're in a position right now where a lot of the federal grants comes on your back, you know, I mean, your department. And for example, I just found out also that LIAP is being cut also as far as the program is concerned. So like a lot of the Manamco that are benefiting out of that, or the household that are benefiting out of that are going to be back to lantern probably. So how can you, how much cut are they cutting down?
As I earlier indicated, that the funding level has continuously decreased since 2022. In 2022, they received a total of 499,000, and right now they only are operating on 212,000. So that's a huge decrease. And as I indicated earlier too, that LIHEAP was one of the first ones that was listed as in jeopardy. So LIHEAP, HPO, Arts Council, these are programs that supposedly were not in the President Trump's submission. And just to add to that, I've been in conferences where even DYS was listed as in jeopardy. I think the only program that I haven't seen listed as in jeopardy is the child care. And at that conference that I attended, it was explained that child care, the reason why child care is not being touched is so that it can provide the necessary child services so that the parents can go out there and work. So it's all work related.
Wow.
So, I guess, yeah, I mean, the information out there is that, you know, many different programs are getting cut, especially with the federal funding. So for CCDEP purposes, what we have done is we have been very aggressive in getting other grants. In the past, we have been able to get 100,000 here, 200,000 there. Our biggest grant back in 2020 was the preschool development grant, which was a competitive grant, and we were awarded 2.1 million. And recently, we've just been informed if we were interested. And so if you notice, the grantor is saying, are you interested, CNMI, to apply for a 250,000? And of course, we're not going to say no. So Rosella and I are getting ready to prepare our submission so that we can get that 250,000. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, rather than ask, and I know it's a bit embarrassing if CCDF were to ask, right, considering that we do have the money and our other friends are needing that money. So we would rather not ask, but rather go the other route of looking for other opportunities. And what's important with this recent, with this opportunity, the recent one, is that this is foundation money. It's private foundation money. It's not federal. And so we're very proud to say that the CNMI is now being recognized because of the work that we do. And of course, definitely without the support of our secretary, the work is getting recognized. And it's no longer just federal. It's now private foundation entities. And these are, the one that we have is from Kellogg's, the cereal, and Simons and Heising Simons, I believe. In fact, I just came from a conference where we presented regarding the funding that we received from the private foundation, and then also, of course, the work that we did because of that money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it.
Thank you, Representative Roman Benavente. And let me recognize Representative Marisa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm cringing because 12 o'clock is coming up. And I know my chairman gives me no mercy when it comes to his lunch break, because it's 12 and he's got to get you guys out of there. So that's 30 seconds of my introduction. But I also wanted to piggyback on Rep. Yumo, on Rep. BJ Atto's proposal, because we were all going to try to hurry up and get that statement in there. But since he beat us, then it's a collaborative effort. So thank you, Rep. Atto, for that notice. Let me go and touch base first real quick with this NAP, food and nutrition. Ms. Aldon, 35% is expected to be, there's a reduction, correct? 35% of the 34 million. Is that correct? Okay.
If we get that amount, yes, correct.
All right. Now, how many recipients do you have right now, Cross Island?
5,406.
About
the number of households, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, just round number.
5,500.
About 5,000. Okay, so let's do 6,000. And of those 6,000, the NAP agency has the autonomy within its regulations to change certain requirements. Is that correct? As long as it's in compliance with the federal government.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
So now we see that the unemployment rate, we have all these job vacancies and everything else going on, but you mentioned that there is a possibility that NAP, the office, will reduce the amount but leave the threshold, correct? All right.
For income.
Okay, now, the DCCA in general is almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, very similar to the national kind of welfare system program at a local level. Am I correct? As a holistic, it's really a local welfare system, right? With different parts under our constitution through the DCCA program. Am I right? Okay. So if I'm looking for a job and I go to NAP, and this is important because I don't believe that, I think you can leave the threshold, increase the amount, but really take a look internally about the people going in there that have seriously abused the system because they can actually go out and work. And that gets me excited because you know why? I have a daughter who is of special needs that works. She's capable. But I do also believe that there are other people that are not capable to work, and that's okay. And then I have another daughter who's 19 who's capable, even at part-time. And I do not want to get her used to a system that she's going to be supplementing real hard-earned work money that she can earn by herself and then go to a welfare system that's going to give her money to not do anything at all. So can you please maybe consider that? I don't know, Secretary, if you want to say something about that?
Yes, Congresswoman, that's definitely that's going to be the rule.
Okay.
Across the board, nationally. If you are an able body, you have to go out there and work.
Okay.
So right now, working closely with NAP to revisit all the MOUs with Department of Labor, as well as the training centers, i.e. educational institutions, to make sure that we firm up that system
Right.
of referral.
Because this is what's happening right now. There's a sense of abuse and there's a sense of this laziness, I guess, when you talk about this NAP. And it's a system that's been there forever and a day, right? But we needed it at one point. We still need it. What's happening through my conversations with a lot of employers in the private sector, because there's a lot of recipients in the government too, okay? But I'm not going to touch that because there's hardly any data for that, but there's a lot of data for the private sector. And so when you're looking at the private sector, right, they go in, they're recipients of NAP, they fall under this threshold, they get your application, turn it in, and right before, or right when they receive, they quit. Then they go through this revolving door system. What safeguards does the office have so that these types of revolving doors and abuses do not occur? Because the state can no longer, at this reduction in the federal government, it's leaving it up to the states to get our people and the local workforce up to at least par.
And I agree with you, Congresswoman. You don't know. As the administrator, I have a lot to say, but unfortunately, if they qualify and they bring out the documents, they qualify. We do have a work registration requirement. We have Department of Labor, their Division of Employment Services come to NAP on site so they can register them to assist with the I don't have transportation issue. We always down there, providing them with those training opportunities.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and yes, if they resign, we can get them out because we need to find out why did they resign. There has to be a good cause for a resignation or a termination.
Okay, and again, right, there's so many of these papers that you have to fill out, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of states that are already integrating new models that would actually transition these individuals faster and then using more of the recipient money for actual middle-class people, like a lot of us in this room, especially the ones on civil service. They work. That's our middle class. And a lot of us do not qualify for that. I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about the rest of the population in a civil service system that fails to lift the wages because of technical systems and rules and regulations. But that's the group that you need to look at, right? How do we reshift this mindset? And now how do we put our federal dollars back into the middle class who are out there every day, waking up 8 to 5, going to work that don't avail of the subsidy?
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, and
Thank
that's
you
my
so much
comment.
for
So
that
please
passion.
look at the models that are actually happening outside state, because a lot of them are really putting pressure on a lot of the individuals that don't want to work. And if you don't want to work, sorry, I'm working, and I'm going to pay for someone that doesn't want to work when I can easily take my federal taxpaying dollars and put it into a middle-class individual family or a family that wakes up every day, 8 to 5, and struggles. Okay? So thank you. Please take a look at that, Secretary. Look at the models going around in states that have the similar population as us. Don't take California because that's completely different, right? But you might want to take like Vermont or, some other small state. Okay. And then, Secretary, real quick, How many people in your, how many people under your employees under your office?
There's 8.
8. No, the whole entire DCCA.
Oh, the DCCA? Yeah, around 144.
And how many of them are in the DB system?
Oh, that's a good question. I need to
Okay.
revisit that.
Can you get back to us on that?
Sure.
And then we noticed that a lot of you're heavily relying on federal funds, and the federal funds almost just like DLNR, right? Very specific, but it can cross over to different things because it's the mission is almost shared, right? So with this institution and agency that that you oversee, is there any way where you can cross over with admin and put certain percentage to another department under yours or another division? That way, rather than lifting FTEs for, let's say, an administrative assistant, you can take certain percentages and allocate that, because when you're looking at foot traffic and the businesses go with the need, right? Outside NAP is that's a heavy traffic. But when you're, and DYS and childcare. But when you're looking at all the other ones, like let's say Arts Council, HPO, right? You can totally count how many people you see in a year. So if you can take and maybe take a look at all your grants and see if you can reshift and take 15% off somewhere and give it to HPO or another area, right? And if you could do that, then that's great. And then maybe if you can't, take a look at your mission. That way your mission is it crosses over in all departments, so that the grant level, because everybody here is attached to NAP, DYS, maybe not HPO, but especially childcare, right? So that's shared data. And if you can do that, you can utilize more money off the federal with less and more money for this operations, right? And we can possibly take a look at that. Just
Yes.
more money to leverage before they take everything away.
Trust me, we do try and leverage as much of the
Okay.
federal funds as we
Great.
can.
But percentage-wise, right? Because you see that you're using 82% here, 100% on the local, 15% on the federal, with 75, a certain percentage again on the federal. But if you close that gap a little bit, and DLNR has done this before, where they have admin assistants that work closely with another agency with a shared mission, and 15% of the allocation or the award is paid to the cross agency, right, for one person. Because if you look, I'm looking at your employees, many of them are civil service, which have not gotten a raise for a long time. So that's where we can leverage so that the morale is up. You're using and extending some money from another place, cross-connecting with the services that you're doing. So revisit your mission statement, because I think these three here can work together, and therefore you can increase more of your need and save more for the operations, right?
Thank you for that.
Okay. HPO. You mentioned something about the historical buildings. And this building, the archives building, has been identified as a federal landmark, is that correct? Or is it in your register, or how does this work?
It's in the project, the disaster project, to be renovated.
Okay. Can you take out the whole building?
No, we cannot demolish. We're not allowed to demolish a building.
Okay, we're not saying to demolish, but I mean, this is a historical place.
Yeah, when you say take out a whole building, my understanding is we can only renovate, rehabilitate what was damaged.
Okay, maybe I'm sorry, I used a little slang there because I'm a little.
It's okay.
But can you maybe consider that maybe next year or the following years, really take a look at this building? Because this building, I mean, if these walls could talk, there are many congressmen and many Navy officers that walked through this building many, many years ago. And it totally is closely tied to the covenant as well, because you also have your Congress of Micronesia. But this is just as also an important historical place that I think you should consider putting in maybe that list for possible rehabilitation proposals.
Yes,
Okay.
that could be a study for
Okay.
our historian.
Sure.
So we'll see how is that going to work with our grantors.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I noticed that on your federal side, even on the local, there's many professional services. What are these? What is this category mainly consist of on professional services?
Which grant are you referring to?
Gosh, let's just take.
Is that the arts?
Well, not
I know. I
really.
know that the professional
There's
services
many.
in the Arts Council is huge, budgeted.
Yes.
That goes directly to the artists.
Professional services?
Yes.
Okay. Because you don't have a revolving account?
I don't get it.
So that's special fund.
Mhm.
So you collect a fee.
So a requirement of NEA
Mhm.
is that other than the operations,
Mhm.
much of the NEA grants must go to either the artists themselves or pass through nonprofits.
All right. So are all of the nonprofits under your custody or within your registry 501c3, or are they only just local nonprofit with no 501c3 status?
So the nonprofits that I'm referring to is 500 Sales is one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not sure if all of them are 501.
Okay. So then my last two questions, because I am like, oh, I'm really pushing it here. And this is for you, Secretary. There has been several grievances under the Title V program. Have any of those grievances been resolved? It's just a yes or no, sir, and we can have a sidebar meeting if whatever your
I believe
answer is.
so.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Were they handled through your office, through civil service, through OPM? Was the remedy through the director of OPM?
From what I understand, there was constant communication between the Office of Aging Director and
Okay.
OPM, Civil Service for that matter as well.
All right, so as a secretary, it is your statement that all Title V grievances have been resolved, correct?
I believe so.
All right, thank you. And then last one. One of the comments made was in regard to the food program. And we know that those are RFPs, correct? Are those requests for proposals for the entire year?
I believe so. ITB.
ITB, invitation to bid, okay. And you spoke about, very little bit about the nutritional value. And the way I see this food program, it's almost like pharmaceutical drugs. Because when you look at it, they give you this much rice and very little protein, but heavy on starch. And we know that starch turns into sugar. And we know that the data tells us that we have high rate of diabetes. Now, when the ITB or the request for proposal is placed out, are those factors considered when the bid is approved?
I believe the dietitian, we do have a dietitian on board.
You guys have a dietitian on
Mr.
board?
Chairman,
Okay.
can that question be directed to me instead of the secretary?
You can answer it, sir.
Well, you're recognized to answer if you want to answer.
So whenever we put out an ITB, there's a certain requirement that has to meet the Older Americans Act approved menu. So one of the requirements is that they need to submit a signed menu, and the Manamco can attest to this. They're the ones that propose what food they want to eat.
Okay. Okay.
Is that true? Okay.
So they like the rice.
It's not about. So the thing is, when we did a survey, what they like better: pasta, rice, mashed potato. Rice ranked number one, and you guys have to understand that the region where we live, we grew up eating something. So with our dietitian's recommendation is to be able to go ahead and give them rice, but in a limited amount. We did serve brown rice at one point, and we've been receiving a lot of
Complaints.
bloating, because
Yeah.
it's something that doesn't really sit well with them. Their stomach
Yeah.
is getting more sensitive, and you guys can do a research on that. The older you get, the harder their digestion is going to be. So with our dietitian, Ms. Tina Goodwin, we don't want to just serve them what we think is best for them. We want it to be palatable. So when the Manamco bring in all their recommendations, we have the focus group, the council meet with our dietitian and the caterer, and then we go through what menu works for them, what menu they like. And I want to give you an example. A lot of our Manamco have been advocating for kangkong, right? They want kangkong and sardines. So we had to look into that, and they said, okay, we're going to go ahead and serve that. We served it twice in a week, and they came back to my office to complain.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think the only thing I'm getting at here, Director, is that just as you mentioned earlier in your statement, you want to keep your Manamco happy. And that's the only reason why I asked the question. But
I
since
know.
you have a local dietitian and you are involving the Manamco, then that's great. And, if they are not happy with that, they bring that up to your attention and you address that immediately.
Yes.
So thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
And then I guess the last one is Secretary. Not under your leadership, but prior leadership, I do understand, and there's a lot of activities happening under the Arts Council, the mayor's office, and I see this stage that costs about $40,000 to, I guess, the coffers or whatever agency that wants to pay for it. But it's come to my attention that there was a stage purchase under the Arts Council. Are you familiar with the stage?
Yes, and it is being stored outside of the office right now.
Are you paying storage fees for it?
No,
Where is it stored at?
right up at my
Okay.
secretary's office.
And so
Capitol Hill.
I'm assuming you can make some money off this if you change and give it to, are
So
you charging for
we're working with local vendors who are willing to rehabilitate the stage.
that? Oh, so then it depreciated in value?
Yeah, it needs to be assembled first and repaired somewhat
Okay.
because it's been in storage for I don't know how long, and some of the materials dilapidated.
And then last question, through your leadership and recipient of what was in that office, do you by chance know how much the stage cost your office?
I'm not sure, but I think the amount that you shared earlier, I think that's about right, 40,000.
I don't know what the amount is, but if you could get back to me and let me
Okay.
know how much that amount was, because I think that's an important piece of procurement that should be at procurement. And if there's any way that you can make money off it, or at least this component under your agency can be making money for the sustainability of their goals and objectives, that would be perfect.
We're spending quite a bit on the stage every time we do these flame tree and all these
You can
signature
actually
events.
save that, right?
So
and
we
use
can
that.
definitely save them.
Give it to DC's Office on Aging or any other area, right, to support their operations.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Chairman. I yield my time. Thank you, sir, and thank you, team.
Thank you, Representative Marisa Flores. And we will take one last from Member Patrick San Nicolas, and we'll wrap up. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, good morning, and everybody. This is in regards to childcare. You're handling childcare development. Childcare development fund that you mentioned earlier. The foundation where Tina and Rhoda data are included in this proposal.
Yes, in fact, the grant specifically included Rhoda because it was focused on home-based providers, and our home-based providers numbers in Rhoda has increased drastically.
What about Tinian?
Yes. So the whole funding is specific, or the grant focused on home-based providers. So it doesn't matter where that home-based provider is, Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda.
So clarified, Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Patrick San Nicolas. So that concludes our questions and answers. On behalf of the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, Mr. Secretary, we extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to you and your team for coming before this august body to answer our questions. And if there's any closing remarks, I'll give you back the floor before we adjourn.
I think just the fact that the governor's submission really reflected what we had requested earlier says a lot. That's it. Thank you. Thank you to this body.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and I know that we did take notes on all your many challenges for this upcoming 2026 budget and concerns, and we will do all our best to try to assist you guys on this upcoming budget. So with that, we move further down on our order of business, and that is item 6, announcement, and the chair will now like to announce to the viewing public and remind our members that on Monday, the 21st, we have before us the Marianas Visitors Authority for our budget hearing. So with that, we are now on our last order of business, and that is adjournment, and the chair now adjourns this budget hearing. We are now adjourned.